Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Stephen Fore, and Mike Haspil. What's up, guys?
Great to be here with you guys.
Yo, what's going on, everybody?
And we'll start off on the right foot, setting the tone. And Hugh Hefner did wear an ascot. So if you're just tuning into the show, sorry, that'll be completely out of context.
Completely.
Crucial moment to advertise our paywall, thelongwar.net, which is back on the air finally.
Titans.
We got Titanicus is live in the Hall of Veterans at this exact moment, but if you're also looking for that after hours content and that live webcast and you want to get in on this ascot inside joke,
It'll be there.
it's only $6 a month. Paywalls are garbage.
Yeah, paywalls are the worst. P.S. Sub our paywall. So it's been a busy week. Juice went to Nova.
Yep. Just got back. It was a solid 5 days, dude. 11 games. 11 games for 40K. I was gone for 5. 11 games for 40K. It was unbelievable. I have to admit, tournament scenes have been kind of more of what negative shit happened. Let me tell you, it was all on the up and up. All from how they announce rounds. The damn thing started on time. I have to give a lot of credit to everybody that runs it, man. It was an absolute amazing time.
That's good. I've always said, hey, if you're on the East Coast, you need to stop by that event because it's worth going to and checking out. You're kind of, if you're on the East Coast, you're within driving range. You should definitely go there.
This event's almost at capacity. They hit 3,000 people throughout the con that weekend. They said it's almost at capacity. Like, dude, there was lines to get through the elevator. Like, we actually didn't stay in the hotel this time. We were across the street. I'm talking about like literally across the street, like 17 steps.
Crystal City. Yeah.
I was literally about to say that. Like, what? Right by the Crystal? Were you by the Crystal City restaurant?
Yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable, right? So
the world famous Crystal City restaurant.
I mean, that's what it says on the receipt.
The elevators, you might as well not even try using them. They were that bad, you know. But either way, that was maybe one of the only bad things. I had 11 amazing games. Even the one that I lost, you know, either way, it was really, really great time. I can't wait. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but there's a lot on the horizon, Robbie B.
A lot of stuff coming in.
I feel like we're talking and we're like right next to one another.
No, this is green screen.
Oh, okay.
This is movie magic. That's why you're just a floating head, because you're actually wearing a green shirt.
Yeah, it's some trick of the Anunnaki and lizard people.
The lizard people.
I need the over and under on how many ascots I have in my possession right now.
You don't even know what it was 5 minutes ago.
My answer would have been a whole lot different 5 minutes ago on how many I had then. You know,
Juice, you're bad. Juice, you're a bad friend for putting Rob in this situation. It is not Rob's responsibility to, in your day-to-day life, educate you on the finer points of fashion.
I know.
This is not his responsibility.
Did you know there's multiple ways to wear a scarf too?
Yes, I am an actual scarfonian.
Oh, you went to Scarf Tech?
I did.
Okay,
I did. I skipped the beginner's class of ascots all the way to the expert ascotians.
I feel like there's a better word for. I feel like maybe scarfophilia.
Let me tell you, I couldn't take that class. Scarfophilia.
What is happening? Oh my God! So on the horizon, Boba Fett. Boba Fett.
I'm sorry. I'm still laughing about scarfophilia.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. That's definitely another paywall, but we're not going there.
You can absolutely feel free to Google search ascots. Do not Google search scarfophilia, please.
Poor Haspil, he's choking. I can see him. He's muted and he's like losing it. Poor little guy.
So we've got Boba Fett.
Boba Fett's coming. Boba Fett's almost here. FFG announced Boba Fett went on pre-order Q3, so hopefully I think Q3 is up at the end of the month. Somebody check my math on that. So it better come out this month. You heard it here first.
There it is.
50-50. What's over 100 on Boba Fett coming out? He looks like a beast. Little run around the table with all his stuff. I can't wait to get him in my hot little hands. From GW, we've got the Rogue Trader, the Kill Team Rogue Trader.
Rob, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm going to need to backtrack real quick on this Boba Fett. I try to remain silent. Am I wrong with this statement? Just correct me if I'm wrong, because you guys are just so much more Star Wars nerdy than I am.
Are you going to say Boba Fett's dead? Is that what you're going to say?
No.
Is that where we're going with this?
Like, obviously in movie canon, I've only watched the movies. I don't read the books. I don't read the extended universe. That dude is a sucker MC. Correct me if I'm wrong, but everything, if you only consume the movies, everything that dude has ever done has failed. He's failed to accomplish any task in a real way. That dude is a straight scrub. How come he's badass on the tabletop? Did I miss something in the extended universe?
He delivered Han Solo and picked up his bounty. He got paid like a brother. He did do that.
When the mic drops.
Yeah.
Haspil.
Haspil. So obviously with that statement, obviously you are the expert. So you're telling me that Boba Fett's rules in the game are going to be somewhat reflective of his ability to get paid, or correct me if I'm wrong, am I assuming that his rules are going to be like he's a badass killing people and karate kicking people and not getting just knocked into pits and shit? I
feel like on a 3+ he gets randomly hit and his jetpack knocks him into a pit.
And the rest of the time he's just collecting bounties on objectives, right? Just getting paid.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just getting paid.
Rob, can you educate us?
That's basically how he works.
Okay, I'm with it. I'm behind it. Sorry that I interrupted you. Please continue.
I thought he was a pretty much badass on Attack of the Clone Wars.
That was his dad.
Right before, I was like, he was a badass right before he got his head chopped off.
Yep. All right, I'm back in it now. So genetic history of failure. Back to you, Rob.
Okay. So Kill Team Rogue Trader, the first expansion for what seems to be a hugely popular, new way to sell the same stuff they've always sold, but with a new fresh set of rules for skirmish combat. Kill Team taking tabletops by storm. This is the first expansion, and it looks pretty dope. Like, you get I'm kind of likening it to Necromunda. Like, Necromunda, you get a lot of value out of the sprues, but you got 2 opposing factions, and you got terrain to play the game, and you got all the content, all the great rules and everything. And of course there's codexes in here, I guess, to play these guys in 40k, the Jellerpox and the Star Strider duders. So that seems pretty cool. I don't expect a lot of money value out of this box, but for content value, it looks pretty dope. A lot of folks are looking forward to this one. $130 going on pre-order this weekend. And of course, the dice for both sides, $12.50 each there. And we also know, and I don't know if we're going to get to talk about it tonight, the new Preceptor class Knight, the Canis Rex, whatever you want to call it, will be out 22nd, goes on pre-order, or comes out on pre-order. I forget. I haven't got my White Dwarf in my hot little hands. And those spy pictures are just so small to read. So something to do with September 22nd, it's $160.
That's going to actually, Robbie B, Kenny Haspil, I know we've been talking about our bold predictions coming up for the new FAQ. This, you saying those words and me listening to them actually might change my mind on the Knight Castellan. I'm going to just leave it at that. We can leave a cliffhanger. I'll disclose all the information right now. Cliffhanger it is.
And Juice, I'll just chime in. And with what I sent you in the box, you might be able to run a lot of Knights. Like a lot.
All right, I got to go. I got to check out what's in this box.
Yep. So I think that's it. We're going to put a compilation together. We know Speed Freaks, of course, the previews from Nova. Speed Freaks box will be out before the orc release proper. I don't know if that means they're coming on October, weeks before, weeks. We don't know what's going on as far as that goes, but they look like they have a bunch of dope models, and the game might actually be worth playing from what we saw. Loving that. There's a lot of other stuff coming out. I mean, we've only hit the tip of the iceberg when it comes to some of the previews and stuff. We saw what might be a Primaris transport in the rumor engine. That looked interesting.
That's pretty sick that we have this much stuff coming out leading up to the big push for December. Is this pretty normal?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
That's awesome.
Can I take a second to talk about October?
Sure.
Thank you, Rob. October comes early at Next Level Painting because obviously you've been following along. If you're listening to this, I hope you have at least. We've been working with Mantic. We got the new / old Marauder Raptor. It's the War Trike from their line. It came out of retirement for our channel, and now it's officially going to be back on their web store. I feel like that's newsworthy. That this OG model that like Mantic got their feet. One of the Mantic, known for affordable wargaming, one of their original models that was retired is now coming out of retirement. Based on the popularity here, we gave out like 60 of them this month. And now we want to capitalize on that. So I'm working with Spellcraw and I'm working with Mantic. We're going to be working orcs all October and probably not even going to be painting one GW work. We're going to be painting the orcs that are spelled with a C, not a K. Giving them away all month long and painting them. I feel like that might be worth. I feel, is that newsy enough? Okay. Did I deliver that in at least a way that made it seem not like I was just plugging myself?
I'm not convinced. It's definitely worth talking about. I mean, I love watching you paint that stuff. But remember too, we've got some other stuff out there. I've been waiting to finish up that Kavork model, the not gore guts. That's finally going to get around to that one, but that's you can't get it anymore.
That's true. Forgot. So
there's a lot. I mean, that's what we were talking about with some people couldn't get on stream because at Nova Open because they didn't actually, they weren't 100% GW and stuff, and that's, it's kind of a kick in the pants when there's models out there that are. There's more wider variety of stuff out there to you to customize your army. A lot of it's a lot more affordable, like you said, with Mantic, but also just the sculpts are fresher. The customer service, they're not like blowing out the molds and you just get like this junk sometimes.
Well, for the simple point, Mantic makes affordable models, right? Like, and this just because like obviously I'm not trying to hate on GW. They make the best plastics in the game, right?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. Mantic doesn't necessarily always make the greatest quality models in the game, but they are down to retire a model that they feel like they've outgrown. They feel like when they felt like their production value had outgrown the Marauder, they pulled it. Right? Mm-hmm. And I built one. It's not that tight. You got to use some hot water. You got to bend some shit. There's no instructions.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it's really affordable and it makes a great little model. So that's what you get with some of these alternate companies to get that realness. And I do appreciate that. But I do, like I said, understand why GW is like gonna take the scene over by storm and not let us play them. That's fine. But not every game I play of 40K, actually the exact opposite is true. I play way more games of 40K that are not official GW events. And so a lot of these models make me really happy, right? We got orcs coming out. They're near and dear to me. Hopefully GW does not mishandle this launch. Hopefully we get to play orcs in a very real way really soon. And we're going to have this content on Twitch for you guys because Twitch is the home of our live content. And one last thing from me, at least, news-wise, September. That's the September yearly annual promotion on Twitch for them to generate new subs over on Twitch, the platform. Admittedly, it's been leaked on Twitch. They are on Twitter. They've talked about it. We don't know if there's gonna be amendments to it. It's kind of a weak promotion this year. Everyone pretty much is on board with that. I mean, it's a discount or a deal nonetheless, but it's weak as shit. Basically, this month in September, if within the month you've been gifted a sub, which is a relatively new feature on Twitch, somebody can gift you a sub. Even the streamer can gift you a sub. If you've been gifted a sub in this window, you can extend the subscription another 30 days for $1. Therefore, somebody pays the full freight. You get 2 months for $1 now because it extends it. So total of combined Twitch revenue, $6 or $7, some shit like that. So that is the promotion. So if you've been gifted a sub anywhere on the platform or Twitch right now, just know that you can click on that panel and for $1, you can keep it for another 30 days. That helps a lot of streamers out. End of my transmission.
Yep. That's that's all I got for the Tabletop Market Watch. Coming our way soon. More definitely to follow.
Are we ready for some boots on the ground?
I guess.
I'm ready.
Yeah. So I am in the land of like Jeremy and Brett and James. And I know James had asked me to like hit him up next time, but honestly, things were so hectic this morning. I was not able to, and things have just been nuts. So I am on the ground in Salt Lake City, which is beautiful as always. It was absolutely gorgeous today. And I'm here for FanX for the next 3 days, which used to be called Salt Lake City Comic-Con. And now it's FanX because they can't use the Comic-Con name, even though everyone else can. I don't know the reason behind it, but I do know there was some kind of lawsuit involved, and now they're FanX. But if you're going to attend FanX, I'll be around. I'll be at the Bard's Tower booth doing some signings. I'm on a whole slew of panels for Dungeons and Dragons and Black Panther and how to write horror, all kinds of stuff. So hit me up and say hi. I'll be looking forward to it for sure.
The legendary Mike Haspil, author of Graveyard Shift,
yep.
Co-member of the Long War podcast since the dawn of time, is now in the second year of signing.
Yeah. It's crazy how fast that is, right? It's like, dang.
It's amazing. And don't forget, my man Mike Haspil has just launched a new podcast and a new Patreon and Twitch channel.
Yep.
Give us like 90 seconds on that so everyone knows.
Yeah. So the new podcast is called Quantum Froth Dispatches, and there's a whole reason why it's called that. And our first topic for season 1 is going to run the whole season. I don't know how long a season is yet. I haven't figured that out, but it's what was in the water in 1982, because all this stuff came out in 1982. And the reason I'm choosing those movies and stories and that came out in 1982 is because those filmmakers that are making movies now those were their favorite movies, and you're starting to see everything recycle again. So it's important to kind of revisit those so that when JJ fumbles a remake of Star Trek II, you understand why the original one worked and why his version did not. So if you're going to recycle it, make it better. Don't make it worse. But
I love how we can't do one podcast without reminding everyone how much we don't like J.J. Abrams.
I think the guy's a solid director. They should keep his ass away from writing, though.
The truth will always set you free here at the Long War.
And there it is, legendary Mike Haspil going on to make amazing pop culture content over on his Patreon page. Mike Haspil. I guess we're moving pretty quick on this episode, so why don't we just jump up to GW and the future of live casting before we take a commercial break?
Live castings.
Turn it over to you, Juice.
A real thing. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to the guys on the new guys on the GW stream, the new faces.
Was it Theory Hammer? Is that what they're calling?
Yep. I think that's what it is. Frankie Giapapa and Jeff In Control Robinson. They put in some work. Ladies and gentlemen, for anybody who thinks you can just sit behind a desk and start talking 40K, I think I saw a statistic that they were live talking, interacting for 39 hours. Right? Which makes
that's impressive, man. That's stamina.
Yeah, let me tell you, that makes sense because I played 11 games of 40K and each game is 3 hours. That's 33 hours.
Wow. And they have to keep up the banter and keep up the energy. And wow. Props to those guys, man.
So the biggest thing that the takeaway is they, in my opinion, for what you had with what we had before and what the product that they gave us, leaps and bounds better.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Leaps and bounds better. But there's still always room to make things even better than that. And I'm sure that they're having these meetings right now. If they didn't have them yesterday, if not, they'll have them tomorrow, about what they can do. And obviously the number one thing across the internet right now is mic or do not mic the players. So there's a couple different stances, and we can kind of showcase and get everybody's ideas on both of them. But if you start miking players, you are now banking on, you're taking away from the casters that you brought to this community. It's actually, it's one of the topics that Kenny talks about potentially on sometimes for anybody who's listening to this, why don't you guys do as many interviews as some of the other podcasts and stuff like this? And Kenny always puts this into such a great perspective. It's like, well, people who come on and do interviews, they actually are professionals at it. They haven't logged hundreds of hours, thousands of hours, so you're forcing people almost sometimes to kind of listen to their pitfalls of just not being able to get through it. So again, with some people that are playing 40K, if you just mic'd up every game, you want to talk about, first off, most people who play 40K are socially, not the most socially awkward individuals. Sure. I am too. When I started, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to put my head down.
Hit him with some real honest juice right now.
Yeah, like
when we brought you in as the host of the battle reports. Remember, we were the podcast. And then we remember the day that we rolled over and you became the host. Juice has gone through a series of lessons. He's practiced. He's rehearsed. He's put in the work, and here we are. It's 2018, man. It's like almost 5 years, and I mean, it took 5 years for him to build that hosting confidence that he has, that you guys know him for, on the battle reports. And then when you see him live, he's gonna do pretty well, even if it's not his home and his studio, right? But that's not how everyone's gonna roll. So just at a quality level for bringing people in is like viewer acquisition, potentially client acquisition. It is the wrong move. Just at that level. I mean, there's a million more levels, which Juice was going to get into, though.
Yeah, I think I didn't mean to cut you off there, but yeah, if this was such a successful thing, why do we not hear hockey players mic'd? Why do we not hear football players? You want to hear Ray Lewis? Yeah. You want to hear what Ray Lewis has to say on the table? That dude, if he was born in another time, he'd be a warlord. He'd have like continents under his thumb.
Yeah.
That dude's legit.
Yeah. So Khan ain't got nothing on him.
We exactly. We're talking about Khan. All right. Yeah, but anyways, we don't want that. It's just not good content.
Also, we want to break it down. So I want to talk about some of the positives of not miking, right? You actually don't get the ebbs and flows and the ups and downs of what an actual game is. And sometimes, for anybody who listened to mine and Nick Nadavati's game, this is round 3 of the Invitational. This was on Beast Coast Streaming. Is that what it was called, Robbie B? Beast
Coast Gaming.
Beast Coast Gaming,
right?
Beast Coast Gaming, it's round 3, which means you guys are playing for semifinals. It's a big fucking
going in. Mm-hmm. Yep. And so, and right before that, Matt Shookman and I were on GW stream. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I did the interview with Jeff after the game, and that was different. But so you got to see immediately within seconds what it's like of not mic'd versus mic'd. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize this until later. The first 2 rounds, which I knew, I kind of took over the scene a little bit. Hey, let's talk about this. We've got this going on. And when there's not a shoutcaster, when there's not this, you really want to keep people involved. So I'm doing my normal thing, talking in this, but eventually the game will take over. We are here to represent our, the people that we back, the people that we want to see us do well. And so eventually you got to play the game. Yes. So every game of 40K is not some polite apples and sugars, tea and crumpets type shit. It's just not. So
it's too real. It's too real.
It is. And so at any given time, I could look at anybody and it's like, yo, this is just a game of toy soldiers. Absolutely. Well, let me tell you what. In my game of toy soldiers, I'm not going to get screwed over one way or the other. You know what I mean? Like cheating is cheating, wrong is wrong. And by the same me saying all this, Nick Nadavati never cheated me. Nick Nadavati didn't anything else. But I was getting some flack from what people were telling me afterwards of like, yo, why is Juice going so hard? Why is this? And it's like, yo, you guys don't understand the realness. Him and I were high-fiving one another. Just because in a microcosm of what the 3-hour game lasted, people kind of got hung up because of the internet. People kind of got hung up on what a 30-second comment of me saying, hey, don't do that. I don't like it. You roll it this way. That's acceptable. So for example, I'm going to use myself as I like to do a lot of times. If I make a stance, no, that's not right. I know the stratagem says this. If my opponent just says, oh, okay, you're right, and come to find out I'm wrong, I just cheated him. I didn't mean to. I didn't do it maliciously. I didn't do anything, but because I truly thought that it was this way. So now the best course of action is for my opponent to say, no, you are wrong. It needs to be this. So you look it up and you're like, oh, you're right. I was very wrong. I apologize. Let me take, and then we go down this course of path. So miking people up will only involve one thing. It's only going to involve the chat to brew up the ebb and flows and the emotions that people are doing during this game.
Yeah, Juice. It's drama. So it's like people are addicted to drama, even though everyone in the world's like, I just don't want any drama in my life. It's motherfucker, you're addicted to it. Like, get the fuck out of here. We love drama. Reality TV is the most lucrative fucking business model in Hollywood. People want drama. And so when you mic the players, so like, what's the purpose of a live cast of 40K? If you wanted to break it down, the purpose is to showcase the beauty of what we do, make a little bit of fucking cheddar, but simultaneously get people who've maybe never seen this to be now interested in this. I'll tell you what the worst possible thing to do is have them hear the players playing.
Oh my gosh.
Instead of the casters. The caster's job is to engage you, let you know what's going on. Maybe it's a lot of information to take in when somebody gets into a fight. And so like, I feel like the Long War TV, our boy Jeff and Frankie, they understand this. They did a great job of getting interactive. They had people on the ground relaying information back to them. There were some pitfalls, but they're going to improve. This is some day one shit. They had 2,400 live viewers at their peak. GW, they have never done that before. Never. They held over 1,000 people congruent that have never fucking done that before over the whole weekend. It shows you that is the superior model, especially when you go over to Beast Coast Gaming, which, these guys are great and everything. And it's just mic players, no casters. Here's what happens. I tune in. Oh, this is going to be awesome. Oh, this is going to be fucking awesome. And you meet somebody who doesn't use filler words to convey a point, like Juice. Doesn't say, he's like, if it's information and time is involved, he's not going to say please or thank you or would you kindly. You know what I mean? He's going to say the fact as short as and concise as possible. Now, someone who's not aware of the competitive nature of this game is going to be immediately out of it. That person's never going to come back. Someone's going to say, hey, have you heard of Warhammer? He's like, yeah, man, it's a little too intense for me. I ain't going to play that. You've lost that customer forever. And so as to the point of the future of GW and live casting, I feel like universally, that is not the move. There could be tactical elements to having some people hear the players, just the casters, but that's not what we're talking about. Like whatever they're going to do movie magic wise to create the best product, whatever, but they'll figure it out. You know what I mean? But as far as us consumers, casters. You don't bring the casters in and still mic the players thinking that they have any form of fashion of speaking, especially to a content level.
Right. No, you can listen in to see where they're at or what's going on and comment on what's going on, or maybe bring them in and be like, hey, what did you think the move was right there for like one sentence or something, when they go down to the field. But I think overall, no. Eventually
it will move to that as they find their sea legs. Like I said, we talk about Jeff has a very extensive background in successful live streaming on Twitch as a StarCraft player. Frankie, very versed in podcast format, in spoken word format. These are the right guys for the move. They're
and a great personality, by the way.
Very great
personality. Comic relief, everything. Yep. And I want to give a shout out to Jeff as well. I did an interview with him at the end of my round 2. And now, just to put proof into the pudding, Jeff Robinson has got, is a ridiculous StarCraft player. He is a legit celebrity when it comes to that. This isn't just a wannabe. This man is legit. But a lot of times in my mind, I guess maybe I wasn't ready for how good potentially he was, because a lot of times when he's doing things, there is no interaction. He's doing a lot of talking, not interaction back and forth, because he's either playing video games or he's doing, announcing video games where there isn't as much interaction with another human being. But let me tell you what, he interviewed me and I was the entire time sitting there thoroughly impressed. How he controlled the situation, his thought of reasoning, his questioning, his everything else, absolutely knocked it out of the park. These guys, they, anybody could critique anything. People could critique us left and right like they do. But I will say this, for their first go at it, these guys absolutely nailed it.
It gives me hope. It gives me hope for GW. Like we talked about this earlier, Haspil brought up a great point, because I was like, GW, they've been fucking up, man. not hiring casters outside the company and Haspil. What was that point you brought up about give me the analogy.
I just said they're an aircraft carrier, whereas everybody out here, we're like little cigarette boats. So we can be agile, we can see courses, changes, and go, hey, we can move over here and it's faster and it's cooler and everything. But GW can't do that because they're publicly traded. They frankly have a lot of grognards that they have to convince that probably don't even know what Twitch is and have just figured out what Facebook is, and that's not an insult. That's just, they have a lot of old gamers on there that are old fashioned and don't understand what it takes to engage. I mean, they've only been one on social media and stuff again for a year, a little over. So it takes about 3 miles to turn an aircraft carrier. So I think GW has seen the writing on the wall. They know what they need to do, but it's a matter of giving that input to the rudder before it reacts. And it just takes a long time. And what those guys did, if they really, went 33 or 36 or 39 hours or whatever, I can't even draw a parallel to, think about the professional sportscasters, right? They're going, maybe the longest people do it is on the Olympics. And they don't do it. They have relief.
And they swap out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they swap out. And their respective sports only last but so long. No, these guys are sitting in chairs, in the hall for this long. Either way, there's a lot of tidbits and information. Frank Reese, you guys hit us up. Number one thing I'll say, mic the players, but only y'all can hear it. That eliminates the guy sitting in the seat, because I'm going to go, actually, I did this during the webcast, but I want to break down and let everybody know the scene in which, if you were not at Nova, how it laid down. When you're at the GW stream, there's like 3 or 4 cameras overhead, a couple sides, everything else. At the table, there was actually the least amount of space for anything extra was actually at this GW table, because that entire space that was used up, traditionally where you would put your army and everything else that they have, was taken up by 2 individuals at the head of the table with computers asking us questions the entire time, which was fine. I loved it. I was engaging them the whole time, letting them know what was going on. So then they could text that message to the guys on the stream, what's going on. So the only information that these guys were getting from visually looking was from messages that were popping up on a screen. Like, eliminate those two individuals by just miking up the characters, and so you guys can hear exactly what's going on. And then behind that, about 4 feet behind that, they had a 3-man production crew that was manning the cameras, zooming in and out, and then simultaneously resetting the touch screen that Frank and Jeff had, that they were staring at the whole time. So this, for everybody to put it in perspective, to stream one game, it took 2 players, 5 workers, plus a rules judge, and who was Crotus, and 2 casters. So you're talking 9, 11 people. We're not talking setups. We're not talking people swapping in and out. That was just to give 3 hours of that content. So for anybody who needs to know, that's how much actual work. This isn't just somebody sitting,
No, yeah, it's not just turning on a webcam and broadcasting and you're good. Not if you want to do quality.
33 man hours. That's impressive. Yeah. I'm glad it's finally happening, though. Mm-hmm. Let me just keep the momentum of the show going. Let's jump into a commercial break, guys, so then we can go into our bold FAQ predictions. Finally, the Long War swag is here. LongWarSwag.com, the official home of Long War merchandise. We've got a range of merchandise exclusive to the Long War brand, Next Level Painting, and Spikey Bits. Definitely log in today while supplies lasts. Veterans, I've got news for you. Get your best deals online at dicehead.com. Long War Vets, call or email for your best vet deals. That's dicehead.com. elricshobbies.com is your exclusive portal to upgrading your hobby When you sign up at thelongwar.net, you gain an instant promotional discount good for 10% off at Elric's Hobbies. Elric'sHobbies.com.
Dear veterans, quickly, make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at secretweaponsminiatures.com have rewarded us all with an extra 10% discount on all Secret Weapon Miniatures merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
Follow up on the bold FAQ predictions from last week now that Juice is back from Nova with a little bit more intel. Is the FAQ prediction going to get even bolder, Juice?
Gosh, I want to say yes, but simultaneously, like, I just have some almost boots on the ground facts that are just going to happen. Robin Crudis was there. Some of the other individuals that write rules, and I can't remember their names, were there. And if I had $1 for every time I heard someone say, well, the guy who wrote the rules tells us it was intended for this, or the guy who wrote the rules is here and he's judging this, so they were weighing on him heavy. They weren't allowing, you ready for this, Kenny? This is something that I thought was funny. Traditionally, GW will play people against one another and claim this. Let me tell you what happened at the Nova Open. If there was a rules question, it wasn't like our judges think it's this. It was absolutely 300%. Crudis said it's this. How can you argue that? So I thought that was pretty cool, or pretty ironic that it played out like that. But I will say, things are going to change. The invitation was a major change compared to what the Open played. And yes. I mean, just real quick, we talk about this all the time. Matter of fact, this came up on air by one of our amazing friends, on chat brought this up. When you go to declare a target in the shooting phase, you, step 1, declare what unit you're shooting with. Step 2, pick an enemy target. Step 3, pick weapons. Well, if you're going to rotate your iron shield, if you're going to use lightning fast reflex, if you're going to use anything else that either affects these shooting, I will know that knowledge before I choose a weapon.
Yep.
Those stratagems say when selected as a target. You're not required to divulge what guns are going where until step 3 after selecting target or targets.
Yep. And then so I actually, round 2 of the Invitational, had to point this out to Crudis, right? He's like, no, that's not how it is. I was like, well, absolutely. In the main rule book that you wrote in the shooting phase, it says step 1, step 2, step 3. And he kind of took a step back from the table and we came back, and he never actually made a ruling one way or the other. I just did it, what I was doing. Let me tell you what got FAQ'd as per Nova, as for the people who wrote the rules for the rest of the Open tournament. You had to declare your weapon, and then the opponent got to, do their targets.
That's not what the rules say.
That's not what the rules say, but I'm here to tell you, if Crudis actually made that ruling, then let me tell you what's going to be coming up in the GW FAQ. Another thing, these are all just not even necessarily bold. These are just my the realities of that happened to me while I was playing in the Invitational. On stream versus an amazing individual, Matt Shugman. I have a lot to say about him a little bit later. I end up moving a Bang Guineas, a shield captain, right, Blood Angel shield captain, on top of a billion-inch tall building, right? All I had to do was make a 2-inch charge, even though I was 11 inches from the opponent. I only had to make a 2-inch charge.
Distance, yeah.
Let me tell you what, Robbie B.
Juice, real quick, before you conclude the story, let's just break down why. Because your Slam Guineas has the fly keyword. You were on a building that was 11 inches vertically from the target unit, and we've had an FAQ. We know how fly works. Fly ignores the vertical distance when moving horizontally. So therefore, you were only 2 inches away for your charge, even though vertically you were 11 inches.
Correct. So when measuring vertical distances, that is enemy models, you have to be 9 inches from base to base. We're not saying within the same unit because they have a 6-inch unit coherency when it comes to a ruin. So as per the rules in the new FAQ, especially, it says that when you are on a ruin or any vertical distances, if you have the fly keyword, you get to ignore the vertical distance for your movement, not for any other purpose. So for all intents and purposes, I was 11 inches from my opponent vertically, but when I went to charge him, I only had to roll a 2 because I was 2 inches
So bring it
away.
back to round. You deep strike this model.
I actually didn't even deep strike. I moved 12, moved another 12, and instead of moving forward, I went up because it net gained me inches because my opponent was behind the building. I would have had to move through the building if I didn't have fly, but because I had fly, I could go straight up to the top level and then just measure straight across.
And so what happened with the GW?
As per the so that happened on stream. Let me tell you, the next day of the Open, right after they announced pairings on round 1, everyone said that those ruins, those tall buildings and everything else are 100% impassable. So if that's not a quick patch fix on how they realized, you can't, GW sometimes makes rulings not understanding how abusive things are. That is an absolute abusive thing. We talked about it right away. You can't just ignore inches. You can't just this. And Curtis saw it live on camera right in front of his face. So it's funny that I saw that change. Bold prediction. You ready? I've got one ready. Mike Haspil, I know I told you this earlier. There were Castellan Knights and Knight Titans everywhere. You actually couldn't look around in every 2 tables that were connected. There's a Castellan guaranteed almost on every one of those 2 tables.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable.
That blows me away.
It was unbelievable. It was actually, I saw more Knights and Castellans than I saw Storm Ravens at ATC 2 years ago. I mean, this is to the level that we're at, right?
Wow.
Bold prediction. The Castellan doesn't change, not one nan bit.
No. Because traditionally, like what we've seen with problem combos and like Magic, they generally don't get rid of the end game thing, the thing that the kill condition, so to speak. They get rid of the parts of the combo that make the kill condition impossible to interact with. So you need to isolate in those lists what is making the kill condition, which in a lot of cases you could argue is the Castellan or the Banginius is unable to be interacted
it's
with.
You're not banning swords. You're banning the OP ancient sword techniques that they're using to wield the sword.
Yes.
At least the combos that make it possible.
Because actually some of these things can deal with each other independently. A slam captain can kill a Castellan. A Castellan can kill a slam captain, but if they can't interact with each other, then there's no point to any of it, right? So you got to look at what is making this list so good, and then start to kind of backtrack and be like, well, what if we remove this piece? What if we remove this piece? And that's, obviously CP farming. I'm sure you're going to touch on that. That's one of the things. I personally said the bubble wraps, and Kenny had a little bit of theory crafting there about how they could change that, but it might be factionalized as well. I don't know, but there's definitely some things that do need to get fixed about this list, I feel like.
Now, I don't even know if it's the concept of the list. I will say this. 2 statements. One, without a Castellan, the Castellan keeps the Krakens at bay, period. The Castellan keeps Magnus and Mortarion. The Castellan keeps a certain Eldar builds, certain Chaos builds at bay. It is all that the Imperium has standing between them and, what's that movie?
To quote Sean Naden, actually, when he was on, I didn't mean to cut, but Sean Naden literally said, because when you weren't on the show and you were traveling to Nova, we had Sean on, and we basically broke down Tony's list from ETC, the Castellan, Guard Brigade, Slam Captain Battalion, as the best list of 40K.
Tony Kopak, by the way, there's a lot of Tony Kopak. So
we broke it down as the best list of 40K. He called it the Standard Bearer.
The not cheater.
It's the Standard Bearer 40K list. Like, it is the gatekeeper. There are so many things that are now, if I can't beat a Castellan, I can't play, right? So it's a good thing and a bad thing. That's my point, is that you're right. It keeps the Magnus Mortarion at bay. It keeps these other builds at bay. But when you look into a room, and now the meta is half the room just plays a version of that list with AM, Knights, some insert any other Imperium, that's when you're like, it's not the gatekeeper anymore. It is the standard. So like now to deal with the standard, you play the standard. And so that's where like, as much as I'm into your bold FAQ prediction, I feel like it is exactly in the category of something has to get fixed. Cause not necessarily because it's so OP, but because it's diversity is not just an old wooden ship.
No, sure. I mean, I'm just saying if we removed the Castellan into the tournament scene right now, tell me an Imperium list that was winning.
I cannot.
So that's what I mean.
Okay. So Codex. Okay. Astra Militarum. Astra Militarum is potentially secretly the strongest part of that list. It is absolutely one of the most strongest part. But so I just want to. That's where the fixes will probably lie. That's where the CP farm fix is going to be. That's where. In my opinion, the reason why we see so many Storm Ravens when they come up for the Imperium, the reason why we see so many Castellans, because damn it, there is more Imperium players that play Warhammer 40,000 than any other player base in the world, than any other factions combined. So when everybody feels that they have, because everybody has the models laying around, and you're telling me that I only have to buy some Storm Ravens or put them together, I only have to buy a Castellan to make my guard army again, absolutely they're going to jump on it. Not because it's the new base, it's because that player base is exponentially larger than Orcs, than Chaos, and anything else. Mm-hmm. I want to bring an outside perspective on competitive scene with Mike Haspil. Haspil, you coming into let's say you took a break. Let's say hypothetically you've taken a break from competitive 40K. Hypothetically. Mm-hmm. And then you come back in to play competitive 40K and you go to Nova or something like that, and you see, and to use Juice's analogy, or you Juice's boots on the ground. Experience. He said every table had at least a Castellan on it.
So what's going to happen is I'm going to get table turn 2 in every single game I play. And then I'm going to play Shadespire, which is what I'm doing.
What would you do? Like, what would you pretend? Like, give me hypotheticals. So like, give me like a competitive takeaway and like like what would you do to now compete with that stuff? And also, what would you do if like you didn't like it anymore? You know what I mean? Like,
here's one of the things I don't like, is that I need to buy a $175 model to play the game. That's not okay. That's, you know what I mean? Like the fact that is that's the only way you can win is you're now paying to play. You know what I mean? So what I'm hearing is kind of, if I play Imperium, which I do, I only have one Xenos army that's soon to be gone, right? So let's just fast forward. Sisters of Battle come out. I've been waiting for a new proper Sisters Codex for almost 20 years now. It's since the Witch Hunters Codex, right? So I go and I get all my new sisters, but I don't buy a Castellan, and they get faded turn 2. Like, I'm playing Night Vault or Shadespire or Kill Team, not playing 40K.
The reason I wanted to bring that perspective in, Juice, not to discount anything you're saying, because everything you're saying is from the perception of a 100% dominator, dick stomper, right? And someone who never, who's like, you even said at the beginning of 8th edition, tell me what the best shit is, I'm playing it. Mm-hmm. Right. So to take the complete other side of the pendulum into account, GW, in my opinion, is historically taken that side of the argument. And that's why, as much as I'm in love with the bold FAQ prediction, I think that GW is still going to back the player base, because customer acquisition is still.
Well, here's the thing, right? And I do have to caveat this. What Juice is talking about is top table competitive 40K, right? So if I'm walking down to my local store and I'm playing my sisters, and I keep getting destroyed every time somebody has a Castellan on the table, then pretty soon what I'm going to say is, hey, dude, let's play a game without knights. You know what I mean? Like, just put your knight away and let me play my sisters, or let me play my Space Marines without your Castellan. And
it's called Kill Team.
Well, no, it's not. I mean, I don't think people would have a problem with it. I don't think people would be like, oh, well, not every game, because you bought your Castellan and you painted it and you you want to play with it.
Mike,
obviously.
that's already happening, and that's a great point. GW doesn't want people to say that. That's my point. It's like you said it. You said it earlier. Okay. They're a publicly traded company. They're trying to sell models, so they gotta keep. So already at my locals, which we are pretty fucking competitive, it has already been broached to get rid of knights. It is already, even though Bane Blades exist, even though all these other things exist, it has already been broached to get rid of knights. Like, and then that's
which is so crazy is because a lot of this stuff is in a local meta. And then so two things. One, I want to say on the Castellan before I say my second point about local metas is the Castellan, I believe, is immune. It's a GW product. This is not a Forge World product we're talking about fixing. This isn't the IP that Forge World gets those dollars, in their left hand versus GW in their right. This is a homegrown model that just came out 10 months ago.
No, not even that. It was like
June. No. It was.
So that's what I'm saying. Let me tell you who's going to go under the Tony Montana, you want to play with me type shit. Like, I'm telling you, this guy isn't getting touched. Now, his relic for the House Raven relic might get the stratagem might get touched with all the rerolls. So to dive into the local metas and local communities, those are pockets of everywhere depending on what the highest players in that local area want to play. Kenny, I know for a fact that, a lot of people have a problem. They think that Chaos is the most OP ever because, it's tough and almost impossible for some people to beat 120 cultists with Tide of Traders and Decimators and stuff because traditionally you're an amazing player and that's what you will play a lot of times traditionally, right? So, but if you go, you made it the best statement ever on the show. It's like, well, what major tournaments that winning? This is just what I enjoy. But local metas don't care about that. They're just saying this is most OP broken shit ever. So I don't know. I just know that there's so many. Anybody who bought Centurions when they came out, they're pissed off and they're loving their Castellan. Anybody who bought, Bobby G and a bunch of Razorbacks are really pissed off now and they're loving their Castellan. So as many people say is that they have a problem with the Castellan, I might even go into the fact that there are more, their player base is larger because of the IP that the Imperium brings. So
I agree with you, Juice. Now, I was like, Juice, you're right. GW's definitely never bait and switched us. They've definitely never oversold us the best set of rules ever and then fucking changed them the next day. They have never done that. You're right. I'm 100% behind you now.
Damn it. You were so.
Remember, our works are coming out too.
Also remember, what was it? Flamers of Zinch.
Oh my. And Screamers.
The Flamers and Screamers of Zinch debacle of 2015.
Hey, Juice.
You know what's used to stop that? Gray Knights.
Yep.
And their Warquake. That ended that army right quick.
Oh, Warquake. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you remember it's like, what models do we have in a warehouse that we haven't moved for a long time? Let's make the sickest set of rules ever in a White Dwarf article. And then everyone bought them, including me and Rob. We still have them. And
consequently, if anybody wants to buy 15 Flamers and 18 Screamers, they're for sale, fully painted.
Yeah, got you right here, and a Fate Weaver, because you needed a Fate Weaver.
Shit.
But I mean, I'm on board with both FAQ predictions because who's to know what the market's going to support, right? They're selling models. I'm just trying to present the argument of like, is a casual going to be is a casual, which historically is the person who buys the most product? Is GW going to placate to them? Because here's the thing. These are competitive tournaments. Like, you're going there, you're seeing this. Now, it does suck that the casual market has to suffer the wrath of the FAQ banhammer because of the top players.
Because the top. Yep. Yeah. And now one thing that we traditionally do see is whoever the faction with the most entries in a top 8 of a major tournament get the hardest hit. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 of the top 5 were you ready for this, Kenny? Catachin Guard. In my opinion, I don't care. Tony Kopak is beating everybody. Tony Kopak just won the invitation. Damn Catachin. I'll say it to anybody and everybody, and I'll yell it for everybody in the back of the pews. Okay. Catachin is not as good as Cadian. Ladies and gentlemen, if you gave the best players in the country Cadian and I just forced them to play it, they would still be winning with Cadian and not Catachin.
All right.
How many Catachin players did you play?
I played 2 out of 2 in the open. Any guard player that I played was all Catachin.
Because the standard
win.
I beat the darn brakes off of them.
Well, there it is. If Cadians are better,
dude. If you brought
Juice, did you make it to the grand finals, or did Catachins make it to the grand finals?
So Catechins made it to the. Wow. What is a grand final?
Is that like do you muster at the grand finals?
Yep.
Do you muster?
So Juice, I think what Kenny is saying is if you ain't first, you're last.
I'm using your own favorite shit against you.
Yep. So Robbie B, I think it was 6 out of the top 16 bracket or something like that was like Catechin guard.
It was.
I mean, it is, and there was more guard like that, guard, knight, blood angels than there was Eldar.
But there was a lot of random stuff. There was custodes. There was blood angels.
Yep.
There was.
Well, here's the thing.
Rob,
in any open event with that many players, you're going to see you have a higher percentage of seeing meta busters sneak in because it's versus an invitation.
Matchup dependent.
Yeah, it's matchup dependent. So, but here's Catechin. So, like Rob on Labor Day, did I not call you with my CPA?
Yes.
And part of that conversation, amongst other things, did we not talk about how he spreadsheeted out Cadian and Catechins? Because
he did.
My CPA is a diehard Catechin fan, and here's what I distilled it down to, Juice. It's all in the playstyle. If you know, like obviously, mortars are better with Cadians, and blob squads are better with Catechins. So it comes down to the amorphous board control playstyle that you want to play. Now, I would say when you can take 27 mortars, there's not even an argument. Cadia, right? But now when you're telling me I can have 100 Space Marine or equivalent attacks in close combat for a third the fucking price that also simultaneously have amorphous board control and they can move with run, and they can still shoot first rank, second rank. That's, I think, that's the play style that they're invoking with Catechins versus yours. With Cadian is more combo centric, overlapping fields of fire, mortar dependent, right? And I think that when you were running 27 mortars, it was a different story.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think if you play Catechins, you should have the guns to play Catechins. Mm-hmm. Like you need to be. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Guns as in muscles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not as actual firearms.
And right. No, because you don't.
It was a very confusing statement since we were just talking about basically guns versus prawns. I was like,
I want you to know the only reason why I knew that is because I'm standing in the same room and Robbie B flexed.
You couldn't even see it. It was like,
I want you
what
to know.
What are you doing? Was something wrong with your arm?
I thought Robbie B was scratching his neck for a second. I was like, what is he doing? He's
like veins.
Up.
It's like weird.
Robbie, what's going on? His forehead just got red.
Yeah.
So either way, I was happy to see that. But my last bold prediction until I give it to somebody else is Yunari doesn't get changed.
The hurts, the feels. You hit me, dude, right. Hit me. I just did a tactics class today with like a whiteboard, like Madinette, where I basically illustrated a paywall around a universal special rules chart. And then I illustrated how CPs are how you buy access to these things behind the wall. And then I just said, here's a couple things that break that. And the very first thing was Soul Burst, where I was like, where in the diagram, it showed you how it went around the wall and access stratagems like shoot again. And it went around the paywall, access stratagems like fight again. And then we define the market value of such stratagems. Every book across the board, if you could shoot twice, is 2 CPs. Every book across the board, if you can fight twice, is 3 CPs. And these, and in the hands of a skilled player, you're going to be doing that every turn. And then if you move again, God forsake, that's a fucking psychic power that comes attached to a dude who's a minimum of fucking 70 to 80 points. You know what I mean? For most people. So I was like, so you've bypassed the entire flowchart with like units that have access to powers, and then stolen 5 CPs out of the universal special rule paywall, and they can do that every turn. So good. So it's like 5, 10, 15 plus sprinkling a few free psychic powers from move again. I was like, so they've band-aided it twice. There needs to be a wholesale redo of Soul Bursting and Yunari for it to make absolute sense. The super faction known as Eldari is a little out of control right now.
But chances are they're not gonna do anything about it because we have a rumored codex on the way. So that codex supposedly is going to come out, within a certain window, that if they did something and they put it in the chapter approved 2018, then it would kind of be redundant at that point. So I think we're going to see Yunari for a little bit longer, but I think eventually it'll get dealt with in 2019 for sure. That's just that's my gluten-free gut check of the night right there.
gluten-free gut check of the night. Rob, did Juice just take a blown beehole check?
He exploded.
Yes. In the Long War board game we're developing called the Coast Commanders, if you are afflicted with blown beehole special rule, you indeed have to take a blown beehole check, and then on a 5-up, upon entering any premises, you have to immediately use the bathroom. He just failed this check.
Yep.
I passed it. I used a command point to reroll it.
Mm-hmm.
Juice, let's move into the final piece. Just I know you got to get out of here. Give me a quick recap on your game with Reese. Obviously, there was a lot of shit talking here. So did you or did you not?
I took it home for the champs, ladies and gentlemen. That's what everybody wanted to hear. I was able to have, first off, we had an amazing game. I'm so glad that Reese and I was able to play round one, talking about a relaxed, high-fiving, still competitive game. Reese did his thug thizzle with Bobby G in Space Marine bodies and Scout bikes. You know, he did his best. I actually misplayed a little bit myself, as he'll tell you he did as well, and put Bobby G in a situation to blow my Castellan up turn 2 at the top of 2. Like, what idiot does that? I was like, check that off in the back of my mind and never let that happen again. But either way, I took it home for the home team and beat Reese, Richard, Robbins. I could not allow him. My insides wouldn't allow it. If that means that if it looked like I was going to lose, I debated on flipping the table and just claiming earthquake.
Yeah,
you know, like that's where we were at. I want y'all to know that like my commitment was that deep to the home team. But no, either way, Reese and I had an amazing game. I just want to touch on like 2 or 3 other things that happened at Nova that I really want to drive home, because this is one of the first events that there isn't some negativeness that we got to come back and kind of report to the masses. You know, one thing I want to drive home is like the People's Champion. That is my terminology for him. The People's Champion. We've got characters like Sean Naden, right? Andrew Gagno, in my opinion, doesn't get the credit for being a people's champion the way that he is, because he holds himself to a higher standards at tournaments. His models are amazingly painted. He is a pleasure to play against on the table. He keeps track of things. There isn't, you know, he's going to allow you to do what we call take backsies, or, you know, the intent of the rules. He's smiling the entire time. He's sociable to interact with. I got to shout out Andrew Gagno. What an amazing, first off, congratulations on winning. This is 2 years in a row that he has won the Nova Open. So congratulations. Very, very happy. I also want to shout out one of my last opponents in the second round, Tony Phillips. First off, this cat was amazing guy to play against, a huge follower and supporter of the show and friend of the show. Tony was amazing. We had a tight game. Not only was this guy like, I am so happy to be playing you, this is awesome, but he was wanting to take it to me. There was no punches being held here. Him and I had an amazing game, and so I feel bad. Tony, I wish that I had as much voice now, you know, or then as I do now, because then it would have been a lot more interacting. But as he would tell you, my voice was gone. I couldn't even speak. He was doing things and I was just giving him the thumbs up. Like, that's all I can give you right now, homie. But an absolute great thing. And then lastly, I want to talk about another major competitor that gets in this game. And one thing that I want to move away from, anybody can win a damn game of 40K. You know what I mean? It's in the manner in which you win and the manner in which you lose is what I want to talk about. Matt Shugman is a guy that I've played 2 years in a row. It's the only time that we've ever played. This guy had the dice, and this is another thing that I winners in 40K will sometimes forget that their opponent had shitty dice, and I think that it's BS. You know, I've beaten Matt Shugman, who is a former ETC member, stuff like that, and his accolades don't even need to be discussed because he's that good of a player. 2 years in a row at Nova. I'm here to tell you, part of those, I would say more than 50% of those is because his dice has shat on him 2 years in a row, right? But let me tell you what, that guy is the same he is before his dice go bad as he is after he's just received an ass whooping in 40K. You know, he is smiling. He's fine. He is, you know, his demeanor doesn't change. again, the manner in which you win and lose actually, in my opinion, speaks more to me than what you have. So either way, I just want to shout out, some of the top players that we have in this game that need a little more recognition than probably potentially what they're getting, because, the social aspect of this game, the visual aspect of this game also is absolutely as important. I won't say more or less important, but as important as actually winning the game.
I think truer words have never been spoken.
Cool. Thank you for that epic conclusion to our Nova recap, Juice. Rob, anything else?
That's all I got. Hey, Haspil, take us out.
All right. Doctor, I'm taking your sister under my protection here. If anything happens to her, anything at all, I swear to you, I will get very choked up. Honestly, there could be tears.
All right, guys, we did it.